How's it going, everyone? Today I wanted to provide sort of a clarification on what's going on with the channel, as well as talk about each car individually, including the Turbo X, and providing an update on what happened with that car. So before I get into talking about each of the cars, I do want to talk about the channel as a whole itself and kind of what's going to be happening with that in the future. Now, I'm not stopping YouTube or anything by any means. I'm not changing my upload schedule or anything like that, but I do want to talk about the types of videos I'm going to be making. So, many of you have probably seen, I have picked up a new car in the last couple of weeks, and it has a 2017 Audi S3. I'll talk more about this car here in a minute, but now that I have the Audi, the Turbo X is now sold, which I'll also talk more about that in a minute. I have this car, and I also have my Arc, which is now currently kind of all torn apart here. So because I just got this S3 and I want to sort of provide an introduction on the channel, you'll notice that my last 3 videos or so have been strictly on this car. So I'm not going to be exclusively making S3 content by any means, but because this is a new car on the channel and because I haven't really done anything with it yet, I want to provide some basic videos talking about the car, introducing you guys to it, everything like that. Now, on the contrary, the 9.3, obviously I made almost 90 videos on the Turbo X, and I also want to talk about why I sold that car a little bit more, because I don't think everyone saw the video where I talked about that. But I made over 90 videos on the Turbo X, I think. I've made more than that on this car. So I do have another video coming very soon, which is a full suspension overhaul. I have Bilsteins and map tune lowering springs going on. So the fronts I haven't done yet, but I did do the rears last night, so you can see those are all in and ready to go. But I think my plan in the future is to kind of split the videos 50-50 between Saab and Audi. With that said, that's a goal. That doesn't mean that there's going to be one Saab, one Audi video a week. It could vary week to week, but overall I'm going to try to keep it about 50-50 between Saab and Audi, because I know a lot of you are subscribed to this channel for Saab content, and it was very clear when I revealed the car, and even though I made it clear I wasn't getting another Saab, I was very surprised at the amount of people that were disappointed and took it very personally for whatever reason that I chose this car in particular. Now, I do want to say that probably about 95 or 98% of you were extremely supportive of this purchase, and I really appreciate all of your guys' support. I mean, you guys are the reason I still do YouTube, but there were a few comments that I was very surprised by. A lot of people that were just outright rude. I honestly had to go through and delete some of those comments because they were just very toxic, and like I said, I'm very surprised that happened. Again, vast majority of you were extremely supportive, extremely kind, as you always are, and I very much appreciate your support. Please let me make that extremely known. I just want to reiterate once again, the Saab videos are not going to be stopping. I want to keep it 50-50 split, like I said. So hopefully you guys can enjoy this car. I find it to be very similar to the 9.3 in a lot of ways. I'm not going to talk about all that here. But I think without further ado, we can go ahead and start with a garage update. So the first car I want to talk about is the Turbo X. A little bit over a month ago at this point, I think it was, I posted a video saying that it was time to move on from that car. And I'll kind of briefly summarize it all here, but the reason I decided to move on from it was, one, I really wanted something newer, something with more modern tech, something that was just less miles, all that kind of stuff. Obviously evident in the purchase of this right here. But at the same time, I realized with how the market is, how much I can sell this car for, granted that meant this car was more expensive than it probably should have been. It was a good time to sell and move on, and if I was going to spend money putting repairs into it pretty much every month, like I spent almost $2,000 on that car right before I sold it, when my monthly payment on this thing is less than $300. To me, it's like, why would I continue to pay monthly repairs that are going to exceed the amount I'm going to pay monthly for a car that's a lot newer, a lot nicer? So I love the Turbo X to death. I really truly did, and it was a fantastic car for me. I made so many videos on it. I know a lot of you guys really loved it too, but there wasn't really anything else I could do content-wise as well with that car. It had full bolt-ons, had just about every mod done to it with the exception of some massive turbo strapped to it. But I wasn't ever going to do anything like that with that car. So content-wise, that thing was milked extremely dry. There wasn't really much else for me to do with it. Now that's not why, that's not really the reason why I sold it, but that's just sort of a rationale as well as to why I sold it. So the new owner who bought it is a subscriber of the channel. He DM'd me on Instagram, we called, talked, and he decided to purchase it that same day. He lives up in Washington, but he has a family member down here, so I met his family member, got the money, gave him the keys, the title for the car, everything, and saw it ride off into the sunset. So it was a little bit sad to see it go. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty bummed out for a few days. But sometimes it's just time to move on. And again, not saying I'm moving on from Saab, because that's not happening, but you also at some point want to try something new. I've owned plenty of Saabs, and I kind of wanted to try a different car brand to see what it was like. So that's hopefully the justification that you all wanted for why I sold the Turbo X, and just some updates on it as well. So it sold, I think, about 3 weeks ago maybe. It was listed for sale for about a week before it sold. I'll get off my ugly face and I'll show the other two cars now. So I want to talk about the Arc first here. Like I said, I'm doing full new suspension on it. When I'm done with that, I'll have a video on it. The reason why the front isn't done yet is because with the Bilsteins, there's brackets that hold the brake line in on the stock strut. You can see it right here. On the early models like mine, it's attached to the strut and it's not an actual bracket. So I needed to order the actual bracket, and I'll have to modify the Bilstein bracket. So this one's all torn apart. The rears are done, like I said. In addition to that, some of you might have noticed that I took the ICM3 back out of the car because one of the cables I broke when installing it. I mentioned that at the end of the video. I just got that back. Stuart was kind enough to take a look at it and fix it for me. So I just got that back in the mail earlier this week, so I might throw that back in soon. I'm not sure when. Shouldn't take me too long. But once I have it back in the car, I'll do a video going over all the features of it and everything. If you missed this whole video with the ICM3 Apple CarPlay install, click up here in the top corner and watch it, because it's a really, really cool video, and I can't wait to put it back in the car. So that's an update on the Arc. And lastly, I want to talk about the Audi briefly. There's not really any updates on this car per se, because, well, I just got it. But I have put about 600 miles on it so far. I do really, really love it. And I will be taking it on its first road trip this weekend to San Diego, so that'll be a good test as well, about 750 miles round trip. A couple things I do already have planned for this thing. First off is some PPF. So this car does not have PPF on it, unfortunately, and because it is a new car with good paint, everything like that, and cars out here are notorious for getting rock chips. I think it has one small rock chip on the hood somewhere already. But I am getting PPF done at the end of March, so I will have a video on that. That's going to be done by Dynamic Tint, which is a shop here in Tempe. I went to the Audi dealer earlier this week because Carvana broke the plastic plate frame on the back. Long story about that. I can discuss that in a future video. But I went up there to get a new plate frame, so I asked them about the next service that it needs, and thankfully this car still has Audi Care on it. It's low enough miles, it only has 30,000 miles. And because the 30,000 mile service was done about a year and a half ago, it's actually already due for its 40,000 mile service, which they want to get that scheduled as soon as they can, so that way I don't have to pay for it. It would be an $1,100 service if I did have to pay for it, and that includes a Haldex service. Yes, this car has Haldex in it. It would also be a DSG service, which is the transmission service, and it would have a oil filter change, air filter, all that kind of basic maintenance done to it. So that'll be free of charge to me, thankfully, and that'll be happening in early April. There's also a recall on this car for the pod system, it's called. It doesn't affect drivability, it's just some sensor, so they're also going to take care of that at that same time. Not really going to be any video on that because the dealership's going to be doing it, but I figured I'd let you guys know in case you cared. So that's about all there is on this car and for the channel as a whole. I think I really just need to kind of make this clarification video talking about the future of the channel, because I've already noticed the Audi videos aren't doing as well view-wise, which I guess I kind of expected, given that a lot of people are Saab fans on this channel. But if you're a fan of just me, then you're an awesome person and I appreciate you. If you're here for just the Saab content, I understand. I'm not offended by that in any way. But hopefully you guys can appreciate this car and watch the videos on this car as well and kind of get the perspective on a different brand, because I'm super excited to learn more and more about it as I drive it more and more. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I have my Turbo X shirt on here in honor of that car. If you guys are interested in this shirt, you can check out the description down below. I never promote my merch, but yeah, cool Turbo X shirt. So thank you all so much for watching. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.